The Susan Brender Show is a radio show online broadcasted on YouTube across the United States and globally. The show features guests who speak about health, spirituality, entertainment, and a host of subjects to enlighten people across the nation. Listen to the show that empowers women and men alike and highlights those who have made a difference.
I'm Susan Brender, and this is the Susan Brender Show. And today I have a repeat. I call him a repeat because he's been on the show so many times, giving us so much information and education about kids and books and all the different things that he's involved in. And believe me, he's involved in a lot. And his name is Amos Knoll, and he's the CEO of Knoll Publishing. With him today is Peter Ticktin, his lawyer, who's handling a case that I think he's going to tell us about it, and we're going to find it fascinating. So with that said, let me ask you something. Amos, we're dealing with a situation that is really about Black Lives Matter, isn't it?
Well, indirectly, but let me say something first. Peter Ticktin, besides being a lawyer, he's also the author of the book. Boy, am I pitching him.
Good.
By the way, I read the book, and it really talks about Trump and the person, the man. He's not what people think he is. He's a very nice and warm person. But in politics, everything gets so misinterpreted, it's ridiculous. But I let him talk for his own book. But go on.
Thank you.
I have a question for Peter. Now, Peter, you worked in the Trump administration. Now, there was so much divisiveness and so many problems that existed. And the guy, and I'm calling him the guy, which is really not right, the president, he had great policies. What happened? Why do people hate him so much?
Okay, I'm going to answer that, but I need to correct you. I didn't act in his administration. I acted in his administration as captain of a company when we were 17 years old together at New York Military Academy.
I see.
Since then, I've kept up with him. I meet him from time to time. And, but you know what, he doesn't ask me what, he didn't, and while he was president, what should I do with Afghanistan, I think he had enough people telling him or advising him. But our relationship is one that's more historic. And you know how it is, you know how it would be if you met somebody that you were very close to in high school. You don't necessarily keep up with all the details of each other's lives or what's going on, but at the same time, there's a certain love between you. You know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
So that's what I have with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He didn't ask me to be part of his administration.
Oh, okay. Well,
but if he asked me to jump, I'd say from what floor?
There you go. Yes. Now, let me ask you something again, Peter. I just mentioned and I talked about the fact that there is so much hatred in this country. And Amos writes books that deal with all kinds of issues, that deal with, Black Lives Matter and people hating one another and teaching kids not to hate. What's going on in our country today when we see all this happening? I mean, look at the television. Every day there's another story that deals with Trump, and Trump's not in office anymore. And all you hear is Trump, Trump, Trump. What is the issue?
What's going on? Well, when Donald and I were kids, I mean, I'm the same age, I'm a few months older than he is. But when we were kids, we were brought into post-World War II United States. It was a different time. I mean, I don't know that you can imagine what it's like to, when you're all of a sudden, while you're in the middle, your parents are driving you and you're in the car, and all of a sudden you hear air raid sirens and you have to get under the dashboard of the car. Or in school, everybody has to get under the desk facing away from the windows so you don't go blind when the glass shatters into you. They say hard times make hard men or good men, and good men make easy times, and easy times make soft men, and soft men make hard times. And right now what we're seeing are soft men. We're seeing 18-year-olds who have no respect whatsoever for their parents, their authority. They don't understand that reality is a serious thing. So many people don't understand that in some of our encounters with what we're facing overseas, some people that are tyrants are not just friendly tyrants looking out for the best interests of their country, but they can do horrible things.
Yeah.
And so what we've got is this unrealistic world of people who have been brought up on silly types of things more than the serious things of life and death. And when Donald and I were together, I mean, we went through the Cuban Missile Crisis. We went through the death of John Kennedy. It was a different day and age, and it was a different time. Now we've got 30 years of indoctrination into the schools. This is one of the things that makes Amos's book more important, and the fact that it makes anything he has to say more important, because he's a voice that stands against this craziness that you're asking about.
Yeah, and that draws me to the question for you, Amos. And Amos, what inspired you? Now, you've written a lot of books, but this particular book had to be an inspiration, and it had to be based on something. Now, I know you work with your grandson, and he learns a lot from you, but what is your message from the book? Because it really stands out when you say, Mama, why am I Black? So what is the message in that book, Amos?
Well, if you know my history, I was born in Israel. When I came back to Vienna, where my father was from, I was born in Israel in 1943 because my parents were Jewish and they had to escape the Nazis. And I remember when I came back to Vienna, I saw all the people having numbers on the hand. So I asked my father, I said, Papa, in German, what is it? And he explained to me about the concentration camp. He was very open, but it's the way it's presented, and he did a nice job. And it always stuck to me. And when I saw, for example, American history, the way Black people were treated, it's all over the world, by the way. It's something in you that drives you. I'm the kind of a person, you can knock me down 10 times, I'll come back 10 times. And since even when I talk about Trump, I made a lot of enemies. Even part of my family disowned me, but that's their problem, not my problem. In the book, Mama, Why Am I Black? Has a simple message. Be proud of who you are and what you are. If you're gay, be proud. If you're lesbian, be proud. If you're Chinese, if you're Black, if you're white, it doesn't make a difference. If somebody has a problem with it, that's their problem. It's as simple as that. And the book has the message in it, but the message is also drawn with pictures. It starts with Moses, bondage, the Jews out of Egypt. It goes down to the civil war, freeing the slaves. Freeing the slaves didn't mean they had freedom because of the laws. And the funny part is, Jim Crow, Ku Klux Klan, all those people were Democrats. That's the funny part. And then he goes into the women's suffrage, the 19th Amendment. And then it goes all the way down to Martin Luther King. So it's really a history book. A lot of people told me, Amos, you got to get into the school. It keeps everything neutral. It doesn't show about hating Blacks, hating Jews, hating Spanish. It's simple. It's written very simple. It is written so kids and parents can understand it. So the message over there is in a true sense. I'll give you a good example. This weekend I was invited to a custom party. I don't like to wear costumes, so I came as myself. I left my hair at home, but I kept my beard on. and there was a girl that she must have been about 11 years old. She looked to me like a girl, and she was like coming close to me, like eating snacks. And we were talking, and I asked her, what's your name? And she says, well, she was stuttering, and then she went to call her mother. And her mother came over, very attractive woman, and she said, give me your name. It was with, I don't want to mention name, boy's name, but it could also be a girl's name, like Christian and Christiana type of a thing. And I saw she was confused. I guess she wanted to be a boy. All right. So then she felt very awkward. So on the way out, I asked her, do you like to read? And she says, yes. So I walked over to my car, I says, come with me. And her aunt or somebody came with me. And I opened the trunk and I took a book out. And the book I took out was, Mama, Why Am I Black? The girl looks at it and says, I'm going to sign the book for you. But I want you to remember, always be proud of who you are and what you are. Don't be embarrassed. And you can see a smile on her face. I think my eyes got a little watery. And then I signed and I asked her, how do you spell your name? And she looked at her aunt or whatever, and she says T-O, and she looked again and she put down the boy's name. I said, always be proud of it. Don't let anybody shame you. So it really makes a difference. It's what you feel inside. But today, everything is being pushed so ridiculously out of the way. Even the politics, it doesn't even make sense. Everything is upside down. But hopefully now the pendulum's going to go backwards. Now, I know Peter for a long time. He represented me once in a case. And a few weeks ago, I called him. That's a cute story about the song. And I can play the song for you, by the way. And part of it, it was combined from two iconic songs. God Bless America, which goes to World War II, and Over There. And I made changes, put up the beat, and I sent you one, you heard it. And there was a question about copyright. So I asked Peter, can you do me a favor? Can you volunteer some work for me? And he said, sure, almost whatever you need. We're on the same team. And he went ahead, and one of his people, bunch of attorneys, went ahead and did it. And she did a beautiful job. In the meantime, I also made a shorter version. Just listen to the song and tell me what you think.
Okay.
A second. Give me 1 minute. I don't know why it's not opening. Yeah. Isn't it always like that when you want to play it? Oh, wait, it's downloading it.
I think Amos is more of a all lives matter, which to people that say Black Lives Matter, they're for some reason affronted by that.
Okay, let's listen to the song, and then Peter, I have a question for you. So
Sure.
Let's hear the song, and then we'll talk a little bit about All Lives Matter.
Gonna get your flag, get your flag, get your flag. Take it on the run, on the run, on the run. Hear them calling you and me. Every sign of liberty. Hurry right away, no delay, go today. Make your daddy glad to have had such a lad. Tell your sweetheart not to mind to be proud. Her boy is in love over there in the White House. Send the word over there. That Trump is coming, they are coming. The drums jumping everywhere. So prepare, say a prayer. Send the word to beware. We'll be old, becoming old, and we won't come back till Trump's over there. Gonna get your flag, get your flag, get your flag. Gonna tell the one who's the son of the brave. Hoist the flag and let it fly. That key to know to be proud.
Thomas, I'm going to interrupt the music and ask you. It's got a sound that's a little bit like rap or hip hop, if you will. Were you trying to reach a particular audience with that music, or, who is it for?
For the young and the old. That music in World War I was a tremendous drive. And so I use an upbeat. I use part of the guitar from like Queen, and also for one of his early songs. So I beat up the beat. And the response has been tremendous, even more than I expected. And God, I'm Mr. Optimist.
Yeah.
If you push me down there before I hit the ground, I still think I have a chance. And the next problem I had is that I went to a few people if they wanted to sing it, Americans. No, I can't. It's gonna, the culture comes, it's gonna hurt us. Then I had to find a person from Argentina who sings the song for me. Then I had to find a guy from India because we went back 20 times. Okay, put more guitar here, put more. I'm not a songwriter, but I know what people like. And so I took different songs. Okay, put that beat over here, put the guitar here, put the drum over here. So a guy from India put the score together for me. And now to make the short version without God Bless America, I had to use a guy yesterday from Romania, literally. So I'm getting all the work done. And now somebody's going to say, Amos, it's going to kill you. You know something? If half America likes what I do, that's all I need. 10%, 5%, 1%, that's all I need. I hope those songs, doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican, it's going to help unite because we are one America. And my wish, of course, forget about the money part. Of course, we all need money, but that's fine, is to Trump's team, because you see a lot of advertising, get a flag, you get this, if you donate so much. I would like to see those two books, Trump to say, we'll give them away for free if you donate X amount of dollars, because they have very important messages. Max and the Red-Headed Dragon has a simple message. Don't judge people by the color, gender, lifestyle, or the way they look. Judge people only what's in the heart and mind. And Mama, Why Am I Black? Is a nice message. Be proud of who you are and what you are. And can you imagine now, if the Democrats want to buy it, that's fine. Because the idea is the message is the same. We're one country, one American. You can disagree. When I was younger, I learned, and me and Peter belong to the same generation. I remember going under the desk. I came to the US when I was 10 years old in 1954. Yep, we had to drill, go on the desk like it would help if the atomic bomb falls. So here, when people, to get the book out to the people, to get it out, and they're going to say, yep, we're one people, we're one nation. We can disagree, we can fight, that's great. But we're one people, one nation. And here, a few ignorant people. And we are not a racist country. We're not. Because if we were, a guy like Obama could never have been the president. So we are one nation, and that's the message. And you know what I would love to see? And you're going to laugh. I would like to be in one of those events with Trump and go up front and say in front of everybody, Black life matters, white life matters, all life matters. And do you want a free America again? Trump matters. And I like to see the reaction and that music playing. I think it's going to be a hit.
Well, let's get to Peter. Yeah, let's get to Peter for a second. Peter, you wrote a book, and let's talk a little bit about the book, because it sounds like it's a very interesting book, and people need the kind of work that is done today, because everybody is just, they're hiding, they're fearful. And I think that yours is a very positive one. So let's talk about what makes Trump tick.
Okay, well, you can see I'm holding the book up. It's What Makes Trump Tick. It's available on Amazon. And if it doesn't make a reader laugh out loud at least once, I'll buy it back. Okay, I guarantee it. But it basically discusses what caused Donald Trump to be Donald Trump. You know, I mean, you've got a guy who's got tremendous courage, so much courage he doesn't even know he's being brave. You've got a man who has good, keen insight, and somebody who's extremely generous and concerned about life. Yeah, I mean, you just look at how, you know, when he first did that missile attack, I don't remember exactly where it was in the Middle East, but he warned he warned the military to get their people out of the way. You know, he doesn't waste lives. Lives are important. It doesn't matter if black lives and, you know, white lives. It doesn't make any difference to him. People say things about him, you know, like that he's a bigot and stuff like that. Well, you're a bigot. If you're ever going to be a bigot, you're going to be a bigot when you're 17. And I knew him then. I've known him ever since, and he's never ever shown anyone that I know that he knows, or me, anything that would show that he's got some kind of hidden crazy agenda. I mean, the man has grandchildren that are converted to, or where his daughter converted to Judaism, and he's got grandchildren that he loves. He's been a great supporter of Israel. I don't think that he's anti-Semitic. The way so many Jewish people are afraid he's anti-Semitic. I don't think he's anti-black. I know he's not. Because when you know somebody, you know, this is stuff that comes out if they feel that way. You know, it's not that he doesn't use the N word because it's not popular or because it's politically incorrect or something. He doesn't use it because he can't stand it. He hates that. If he hates anything, he hates hate. And this is the way he is. And then where did he get his courage? How do you mold somebody? How do you make somebody into somebody who's going to be able to do whatever they decide that they think they need to do? And, you know, there we can look at moving the embassy to Jerusalem.
Yeah.
I mean, how many presidents before, both sides, how many presidents before said that they were going to do that? And then when push came to shove, they didn't have the guts. They just didn't have the guts. And he has the guts, and once he does something and he's got the, you know what? It works anyway. You know, the only thing that these other presidents have preceded him, the only reason they didn't was because of fear and fear itself.
That's right. And here's the thing, Peter. We're dealing with an immigration issue. Okay. Now, when Trump was president, he really tried to build a wall and stop illegal people from coming in. He didn't want illegal people, but he wanted people to come in who were vetted, who really, you know, wanted to be Americans. So from my standpoint, there is a lot to be said about him. Now, let's talk about the press. Okay, Peter, what do you think the press is doing?
I think it's being owned by China. That's what I think it's doing. I think it's good to its own cause, and I don't think anybody believes in press anymore. And why do I say this? Because if you look at CNN right now, you know, their top show is about 800,000 viewers. They're not even hitting 1 million anymore. So what do you do if you have a business that's not succeeding because times have changed in some way? What do? You adjust and you figure out how to win your market back. But CNN is blatantly not doing that. CNN is continuing on its same path of just giving off its propaganda. So when you look at that and you say, well, how can that be? It's because they're already in a different state. They're no longer capitalists. They're not, right now, they're content to be that arm of the movement. And, you know, so it was the same thing with MSNBC and so many others. It's disgraceful. These people, they wouldn't even know what it is to be an ethical journalist. We've gone so far away from that. And you always have to put things in perspective as well, because this has been going on in terms of their education for 30 years. So, you know, once they've gotten into the schools and once they've gotten into this, you know, the secondary schools, colleges, universities, and people are being indoctrinated into the left and toward the left, then they become professionals or whatever, and then they're still there leaning to the left. So that's why we've got this whole crazy movement. I mean, you know, think about global warming, because I do think everything is driven by global warming to a great extent, more than people realize.
You know, Peter, I'm so happy that you brought that up, because I've actually done a show about it, and I've talked to people, and it turns out that it is really cyclical. People don't understand. They think that we're ruining the waters, we're ruining the air, we're doing all kinds of things. But look what China's doing. Go to China. If you go to China,
far ahead of us. In 1959, China invaded Tibet. Why would they want Tibet? Tibet is a population that doesn't cause anybody harm. They're all Buddhists. You know, it's just they're not hurting anybody. So why did China have to invade Tibet in 1959? Oh, you know, over 60 years ago, 62 years ago. It was because they knew what was coming, and they wanted to make sure that they secure the water supply. And since then, they've been drilling tunnels, and what used to go into Ganges now goes into the U River. What used to go to India now goes to China. And they've rerouted the water from the Himalayas. So they were aware of this so long ago, and they planned for a long time. You know, the biggest difference between China and America is that China has 50-year plans. You know, they don't have 5-year plans or 3-year plans or 1-year plans. In the US, we've got, you know, 1 and 2-year plans of that for so many businesses. How many performers do you get to see that go forward 20 years? It doesn't happen. Nobody would do that here. So it gives China the advantage of having a long sight. And it gives the United States the advantage of being agile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, you know, the question is which one of these are going to win, and how far are they willing to go in order to win? So, you know,
so my message to that, Peter, is wait and see, because we know that China is going to do many things. Look what they're doing in Taiwan. I mean, Taiwan is really got in trouble. I mean, because we see that China wants to take over Taiwan. So with that said, you know, we're really dealing with a very scary time, aren't we?
On many levels. Yes. Yeah. I mean, if you want to look at how far we've gone in terms of whether it's cyclical or whether it's man-made, I mean, you know, most people don't understand it. First of all, it's got a misnomer for a label: greenhouse gases. There's nobody put a piece of glass over our atmosphere. There's no greenhouse effect here. What it is a radiation effect. Let me put it to you this way. Let's just say that my iPhone, let's just say we're a piece of carbon, okay? And let's just say, and I'll take my book and use my book again, okay? Let's say the face of the earth of the book is the earth. Well, if you have a piece of carbon floating over that, and the sun is hitting them both and heating them both, then at night, assuming that the heat would just go out to space, at night, there's some of the heat that's going up to space and some of it's going between the two, radiating back and forth. Can you picture that?
Absolutely.
So then if I take this and I break it in two, which I'm not going to do, but I'm pretending, and then I had two pieces, then I'd have these two radiating back and forth to each other at night. So not all of the heat would escape. But if I take this and I turn it into a gazillion pieces by cutting them up so small, but I don't need to cut them up. I just need to combine them with oxygen. And then I make carbon dioxide out of this, and they're all carbon pieces. And then I got a gazillion pieces that are heating each other back and forth. This is what is going on here. That's carbon dioxide and other gases like methane gas that are in our atmosphere that cause the heating effect. Oxygen and nitrogen do not hold the heat. So you know how light comes from the sun? It comes right through the atmosphere and comes right to you and gives you a sunburn, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it goes right through, the sunlight goes right through the atmosphere, right? Because oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide gas are all invisible. They're all clear, transparent. So the light goes through it. And with only oxygen and nitrogen, it would be the same way. The heat would come right through the atmosphere, and heat waves would go right out. But carbon dioxide is the way it would be if you had little pieces of metal or little discs in the atmosphere. They wouldn't let the light through. So carbon dioxide is like that, and it absorbs the heat, and it excites the molecules, and it retains the heat. And that's what goes on, and that's what this is about, and that's what's causing the change. But if you want to see how serious it is, all you have to do is look at Lake Mead, look at which is down by 140 feet. More than that, look at the fact that at this point the government has had to choose between the growing of food, and this is not irresponsible, even though I'd love to be able to say anything under Biden is irresponsible, but this is just the people that are in this business of government. This is what you might call even the deep state, but not the political deep state, just the people doing the job, the engineers, people that have to make decisions. If you have a population that needs to drink water, and they also going to need food, so who do you give the water to if you only have enough for either the people or for the farmers? So what is going on all along the Colorado River, a lot of farming out west. It's being given money now not to grow any crops so that the water will go to the populace.
We only have a little bit of time, Peter and Amos. So I want to go back to Amos for a second. Now you have this book, Mama, Why Am I Black? What's your decision, or what do you expect from that? What do you want to do with the book, and who do you want to reach?
I want to reach all the kids and the parents, because the message is you've got to be proud of who you are and what you are. And that's what it's really all about. We're one human race. And I can go into biologically the whole procedure. It's just like with Peter over here. I can give him arguments about the carbon, but not to change the subject, I just want to say, America has 5% of the population. India, China have about 2.5 billion people. By cutting off the oil over here, China is building 1 or 2 coal mines a week. They don't have the filtering system we use over here. That's what causes part of the problem. They burn whatever they have to burn. They don't want to be part of the climate control. They burn whatever they have to. So what we're doing here, like when Biden shut off the pipeline and gave it to Russia, we're paying more over here, number one. We're polluting the earth even more, but I can talk for 2 hours about that subject. But to answer your question over here is, that particular book, as a matter of fact, both those books, and people told me, strangers, Amos, you got to get into the schools, because it gives a very important message. And that's the message I want to pass on. And this is why I said, let Trump, in his campaign, use that book as a tremendous tool. People will love it. And I like what you said about your book. If they don't like it, I'll give them back the money. That's for sure. Because so far, no, I like it. I'm going to use it. Because the truth of the matter is, it really is. I don't mind if somebody says, Amos, your book stinks. It's a piece of garbage. You're an idiot. You don't know what you're doing. That's fine. That's their problem. But the response has been tremendous. Everybody
says that.
Huh?
Yeah.
Nobody says your book is garbage. I haven't heard that.
No, they don't. I'm just saying. So listen, I've been in business for many years. I made more money than people make in many lifetimes, and as smart as I was, I'm being sarcastic now, I also lost it. I had to start over. But the point of the matter is, I believe in what I'm doing. When I write a book, I know it sounds corny, but it comes from my heart. I really believe it. I know how to write science fiction books too. But those books right now, I think it's important to unite our country. And uniting comes from the new generation. Guys and girls, whatever you want to call them, who went to schools in the 60s, 50s, when I went, are today the professors. Those are the so-called socialists. They know what's good for you. While they live in the ivory tower, they become very unrealistic. At least with Trump, which I like, he's down to earth. He cares about the people. He didn't have to become the president. But that was the next logical. He's a man who has a drive. How do I know it? Because I feel it. I've been there and I'm still in there. I'm going to be 79 years old, and God knows I don't feel it. I'm still out to kick ass and conquer the world. I enjoy it. I know how big it's going to be. I have no doubt. As a matter of fact, I'm just trying to put a syndication together. One of my books I want to make a movie out, so that's why I'm getting money together and things. I know my books will have effect. This book will help a lot for the kids to understand, and it's going to make every Chinese, Black, Hispanic, Jewish, Muslim, it's going to make them proud of who they are and what they are, and that's what's important.
And that is a great way, and Amos, I have to tell you, that is a great way to end the show, because needless to say, if you have that positive attitude, there's nothing better than that. And I want to thank you, Amos Knoll, one of my favorite guests, and Peter Ticktin, who I'd like to invite back to the show to talk a little bit about Trump and his experience and talk about his book. So thank you very much, both of you, for being on the Susan Brender Show.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure being over here.